I wish somebody from India would define what Indian culture is. For many people, Indian culture now is Bollywood. I mean, I think that's pathetic, personally, because India is very rich with its culture, and
There's more to it than
there's
that.
this definitely, but it's popular culture gets mixed up with deep-rooted historical and a wide range of culture. I mean, India is has many provinces where every culture is different for every province because the language is different, the history has been different. So what does it mean for me is what I took and continue to take from Indian culture is obviously as somebody from the diaspora. So I'm outside the frame. I don't ever pretend to be an Indian looking at India. I'm actually a Canadian, Indo-Canadian, and I hate hyphens. An Indo-Canadian looking at stepping outside the frame with the frame that is India.
Right now, why is it important to you personally to tell stories about India as you have in Midnight's Children, in Water, Fire, and Earth?
It's not why is it important for me to tell stories about India. It's why is it important for me to tell the stories that I am telling, that they so happen that they're based in India. I grew up in India. I went to school there. I was born there and I was educated there, and it has a profound influence in my life. I really do believe that it's the stories that have motivated my films in India. If I had the same stories, say, about the widows of Brampton, I would. For example, Heaven on Earth is a film that is really set and is very true. The story is very true to Indians in Canada. That story could not happen in India. So it's story specific. I am attracted to the story. I am not attracted to the place.
Okay.
That has nothing to do with it.
Okay. So how do you bring your Canadian experience to the movies you shoot about India?
It's not. What is my Canadian experience? I mean, what is the Canadian experience of yours? For example, you're obviously a second generation Canadian. It's going to be very different, and I think that's the great thing about Canada is that it lets you talk about or express your own opinion without being in a ghetto. I do not think what is my experience as an Indian or a Spanish or a Chinese or in Canada. I think being Canadian means that you are free from all those national boundaries that actually pull you down. It gives you a freedom to be a human being before you are anybody. Definition is very limiting.
Okay. So people in India go to see movies about India, and people in the United States go to see movies about the United States. But when I talk to people from Canada, I find that people, they don't really want to see movies in Canada about Canadians. Why is that? Why do you think that is?
For many reasons. I mean, it's a very young country. It's a country that is still developing its identity. I think it's just really going in the right direction. And it's also a country that's really trying to define what its identity is. And once we get into, for the longest time, there was Canadian films were either in English or they were in French. It's not true anymore. And
We're so multicultural. There's so many different.
Exactly. I mean, Water was a Canadian film. It's in Hindi. There you go. And you have films that are in Mandarin. You have films that are in and once we hone all that, and people understand that Canadian films can be from anywhere, in any language, and don't have to be defined to just English and French, I think we will develop an industry. We will develop an audience, and we need to develop a star system. Many people don't know that Ryan Gosling is a Canadian, for example. And there is something about Canadians, I think, that we're a bit too shy, and we're a bit too reticent we aren't as brazen as the Americans and say, take credit for what we have. I think we should be a bit more sure about who we are and be proud of it. There's a lot to be proud of.